Okay, so the situation with small multiples. You want to display a visual, but you want to create micro versions of it for one of your data dimensions. So for example, I can create a monthly trend of revenue and show that for different years. So every year will have its own monthly trend. Let's take a look. So if I go to my fields pane and I expand my fields pane like this, if you remember, this our data set doesn't really have any fields for years, months, and columns. But the way Power BI works by default, pending when you make one or two changes, is that every date field you have is going to be automatically broken down into hierarchies of year, months, quarters, and days. So if I go to my data view now, you can see that I have this order date field here, right? But on the right hand side, this is the order date field right there. You will see that it comes with an arrow to say that there's a hierarchy here that I can expand or that I can drill down to. So I'm going to click on the arrow here. It's going to show me there's a date hierarchy. When I click on the arrow on the date hierarchy, it shows me that this date actually has been broken down into hierarchies of year, quarter, months, and days. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my reports view now. So one thing I can do is, if you want to display trends in visualization, you always want to make use of a line chart. So I'm going to use this line chart here, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger for visibility. Then I'm going to expand my order dates. I'm going to expand the date hierarchy, and I want to pick month from here. Then I want to go to my sales, and I want to pick my sales as well. So as you can see, I've got my month on the axis and my on the x-axis rather, and the sales on the y-axis. So the visual you have now is showing the revenue that has been made for every single month. However, this doesn't break it down by year. So if we have 4 years of data, what we are looking at right now is the revenue for each month, but combined for every single year. So let's take month of March, for example. In the month of March, this 205,000 is a combination of all the money we've ever made in the month of March, regardless of the year. And if I wanted to break it down to show differently for each of the years, remember what we used to do breakdown? We use legend. So I'm going to have to drag my year and I have to put it under my legend. So let me just scroll down here first so I can see my legend field. So I'm going to drag my year and I'll put it in legend. Thereafter, I can have 4 different lines. So these 4 different lines now, all in the same single line chart, is going to show me the revenue for each of the months for each of my years. And we typically do something like this when we were trying to look for seasonality patterns in our data set, right? So this is just 4 years monthly revenue trend. So with this, for example, you'll be able to look at the shape of your line chart and you might be able to pick up if there are certain months that have similar spikes across all the 4 years, right? So say, for example, if you check the pattern between the months of September and December, you will see that going from August, each of our years basically went up. All 4 of the years, they were increases. And then going to October, all same 4 had a drop as well. Then going to November, all 4 of them actually had an increase as well, right? So, that's kind of like where you want to spot seasonality pattern between September and the month of November, for example. But right now, what we are currently displaying now is putting in all the 4 years of revenue together in the same visual space. But if we wanted to see the trend, so let me just remove this legend for a second. So you can see how we have just a single line chart now. Now imagine if we want to display this single line chart that we see, just one line chart, right? But I want to create it 4 different times. So I can have one line chart like this for 2014, another line chart for 2015, 2016, and 2017. Instead of, combining all the line charts together in a single form, I basically want separate line charts for each of the years. That is small multiples, and that's when I'm going to have to bring in my year, and I'm going to drop it under small multiples. Then you will see that I have 4 different line charts displaying the trends for the 4 different years in the data.